Okay, it is probably exactly 12 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order. First step, can we have a confirmation of the quorum?
Yes.
Awesome. Next, do we have any public comments? No. Okay, great. Well, then moving on to item number 1, it's going to be the consideration and possible action on approval of the June 2nd, 2025 board meeting minutes.
I move to approve.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That passes. Item number 2, the general manager's report. We'll start with the chemical optimization.
Thank you. Before he gets started, I just do want to know that Mr. Paul Gonzalez is on the phone remotely, so we do have our general counsel and chief legal officer online.
Howdy, Paul.
And as they get together, so they can start with the operational chemical optimization and financial report, Mr. Galvan, and then followed by Mr. Santillán.
Hello, Mr. Galvan is not in today, but my name is Jose Armando Garza, and I'll be presenting the production and distribution report for the month ended May 31st, 2025. This table is going to be on tab 2 of your board binder, and I'm going to be starting on tab C. The year-to-date water distribution is 1,651.770 million gallons. That's for a daily average of 6.797 million gallons per day. Under column S, we have the water distributed to DPUB, and that's at 1,512.208 million gallons for an average of 6.223 million gallons per day. Under column G, we have the water distributed to Balima number 2, and the year-to-date is 39.827 million gallons for a daily average of 0.164 million gallons per day. The column H, we have the distribution for Sierra Los Vernos. The year-to-date is 61.745 million gallons for a daily average of 0.254 million gallons per day. The column I, we have the credit for B&D. The year-to-date is 34.686 million gallons for a daily average of 0.143 million gallons per day. And under column J, we have the allocation for Indian Lake, and the year-to-date is 3.304 million gallons for a daily average of 0.014 million gallons per day. Below that, we have the true-up estimate, and as you can see, Brownsville is under by 22.45 million, and Balima is under by 1.63 million. This page we have the production and distribution for the month of May 2025. In the third column from left, you see that during May the plant produced 211.077 million gallons, and that's an average of 6.809 million gallons per day. To the far right, we have the water distributed, and that was 210.244 million gallons for an average of 6.782 million gallons per day. Below that, we have the chemical consumption. That was on chemical waste spent 76,450 with 64 cents, and on the electrical we spent 100,926 with 63 cents. In this page, staff records events that reduce plant production, and for May, we had 3 days. On May 20th, we shut down our well field because AEP needed to replace a meter, an electrical meter. And on the 21st, we had our generator tested. They were tested, so we were down for 4 hours. And then the 26th, we had a power flicker that gave us issues with our POCs. So that, in total, we were down for 12 hours during the month. The next page, we have our iron, manganese, arsenic. And basically, the important one is right here, the point of entry. As you can see, we're still non-detect on the iron. The manganese is low, below our MCL, and arsenic as well, very, very low. Any questions so far?
I mean, we still have a higher dose of ferric acid than normal, right?
Yes.
Is the water still coming out yellow for our customers? Or brown, red?
Yes, we did have some complaints last week. And like I mentioned before, there's traces of manganese and iron in our water, even though we can see it's no detect for iron and very, very low for manganese. But there's traces still going out. And it seems like those traces of manganese, they settle in the lines. And when there's a disturbance, they come out. We can further remove some of those traces by decreasing the amount of blend. But if we decrease the blend, that's gonna create an increase in chemical usage, especially on the calcium chloride and the caustic soda.
So, I guess the whole thing I'm saying is, controlling it so tightly at the plant is not getting us a win downstream.
Correct.
And so, maybe we need to revisit, and I know we keep talking about this, and I know we're gonna have test sites and everything else.
We tested the water at the customer site this time.
Okay, good.
So we got the chemicals there, and it's really high in manganese, elevated in iron, but still below the limits.
Okay.
And so both Jaime and Marie, they got the test results, and we're gonna put together a plan to see if flushing fixes it temporarily, but it's a waste of water. So we're gonna see if there's something else we can do, but we don't yet have a complete solution.
Okay, and it would be interesting, to maybe, I mean, before we have those taps where we can sample some of the other customers around them and see if there's.
We're talking operations, so we are making a plan to do that, and not only that, but also a flushing plan, so maybe we can get ahead of it, it's not a call.
Exactly.
Usually what happens, like in this particular case, was 2 subdivisions that came in, so there could have been a disturbance when they were flushing their lines to bring them on board. Went back in to look for those key things that might have happened in the system. Any breaks, any new tie-ins, because if you go to breaks, you're not going to see, usually it's a break, right? But you also got other stuff going on in the system. Through engineering, we accept subdivisions, and there was actually 2 of them in that area that may have caused that disturbance.
So can I ask the next time, that we have a subdivision come on, we monitor maybe a couple customers in that area, just so now we start knowing for sure, this is what caused it, this is what we can expect. Just trying to get more quantitative numbers there.
Yeah, the last time we had the real bad, well, it wasn't real bad, but it was yellow water here, we had to create a demand in the system. I don't know if you remember that or not, but
Yeah.
So we're going to mimic that every quarter, so we can start that flush. We don't want to flush too much either because of the drought, things of that nature, and it looks bad. But it's either,
Right. We don't want to flush water we don't have, but trying to keep clear water for our customers is important.
And we're looking at the chemicals, the ferric that we're using right now. There used to be a low manganese ferric. We can't find that anymore. So we are monitoring how much ferric we're putting in. So it's a bunch of things that are going on in the system. So we're monitoring everything we're doing. So and we go back to the optimization of the chemical.
Okay, great.
In this table, basically, we have, we're showing the pumps that were on during the time that we did the testing. In this graph, we're showing the manganese levels according to the blend. At this time, we're still at 10% blend. For this one, it's the arsenic levels according to the addition of chlorine dioxide and ferric. And arsenic is very, very, very low. In this, we're comparing the production between fiscal year 2024 and 2025. I was looking that we were producing more in 2024, and this time we were at 20% blend compared to 10% blend. In this graph, we're comparing the three water plants, plant number 1, 2, and SRWA. As you can see, the SRWA is contributing with 30.84% of the city's water demand. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Again, with changing the blend, changing the dosing of our chemicals, I think it's important that we have justification, a quantitative justification for what we're doing. And so we change, we take on, we cut our blend by 2/3. So we reduce our water output by about that much. What does that mean for, the water quality? And so once we close that loop, then we can start having discussions about, how we're going to do this. Is it something we need to do in the system? Is it something we need to control here? So anyways, I just would encourage everybody as we pull these knobs to remember, this is, this costs significant money, and if it's not doing what we think it is, or if it's barely making an effect, we should look elsewhere.
Sure.
But thank you very much. That was great.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Jorge Santillan, Finance Manager. I will go over the authority's financial performance report as of May 31st, 2025. Beginning with operating revenues from member assessments on line number 2, and looking at the last column, this total $5,200,461. From this, we add the total operating expenses shown on line number 10. We back it up, I'm sorry. We back it out, $3,536,021. This results in operating income of $1,664,440. Continuing with non-operating revenues and expenses on the following page. We add line number 18, the net non-operating revenues, so $108,837. This results in income before capital contributions of $1,773,277. There were no capital contributions, so the change in net position of $1,773,277 is added to the net position at the beginning of the year of $24,534,856, and this results in a net position at the end of May of $26,308,133. And then the last two pages, this is the budget and actual summary of expenses by account and account type. And this concludes my presentation. Any questions?
I think we're okay. Thank you.
Again, my name is Jorge Santillan, Finance Manager, and I will go over the proposed, the first draft of the proposed fiscal year 26 O&M debt service and capital budgets. And this is a presentation only. There's no action required at this time. Before going over the detail, I'll go over the summary of the 26 budget. I'm beginning with O&M. The total O&M is 5,480,589. This is 443,837, or 7.49% less than the approved FY 2025 budget. The debt service requirement is 2,282,565, or 6,300 more than the previous year. The capital requirement is 362,815, and this is the requirement from the member assessments. The proposed CIP plan is funded primarily with available cash on hand. And then we have the projected interest earnings of 350,000, and this will reduce the participants' required contributions. The amount is 50,000 less than the FY 2025 budget. Moving on to this slide, we have the FY 26 budget allocation by participants, along with a comparison to FY 2025. On column A, we have the participants, and column B, we have the allocation percentages. On column C, line 6, this shows the total debt service requirement of 2,282,565. Column D, also line 6, shows the total O&M requirement of 5,480,589. And then we have the required capital contribution shown in column E, totaling 262,815. Column F shows the anticipated interest on investments of 350,000 that will reduce the members' contributions. The total members' proposed contributions are shown in column G, totaling 7,775,969, which is 24,722 less than the FY 2025 contributions. The next 5 slides, they show the contributions for each of the participants from FY 2020, FY 2020 through the proposed FY 2026 budget. Here we have PUB, the Valley Municipal Utility District number 2, City of Los Fresnos, Rancho Navigation District, Town of Indian Lake, and then in this slide we have the combined company-wide for all participants from FY 2020 to the proposed budget year. Again, the proposed FY 26 budget is 24,722 less than the FY 2025 budget. On the next 2 slides, we show the main variances by line item between FY 26 and FY 2025, along with a brief description. On this slide, the 2 line items that stand out are on line number 2, utilities, that show a decrease for FY 2026 of 444,000. The other notable variance is on line number 5, membranes, that shows an increase of 390,400 due to the estimated cost of replacing the membranes. On this slide, notable variances on line number 8, maintenance of wells, which shows a reduction of 229,818 for FY 26, and this request is around 36,000 higher than the year-end projections for FY 2025. Other notable variances on line number 10, engineering services. I'm sorry, that's line number 9. Engineering services for the reduction of 90,000. And line number 12, chemicals for a reduction of 122,810. The total FY 2026 O&M reduction from FY 2025 is 443,837, shown on line number 14. This is a detail by all the requests by line item on this page, and on this slide and the following slide. Now this is this slide. We have the proposed personnel budget breakdowns. I just want to point out that the column C, there was a change. The column C, those are incorrect numbers. The total, the overall personnel budget should be 1,049,868. Beginning on the line number 1, total wages are 591,240. Then we have the administrative support of 55,868. Then line number 3, we have 26,042 for personnel identified for possible promotions. line number 4, overtime, 36,366. And then the total estimated payroll taxes and benefits for all positions is 401,573. The total personnel budget for FY26 is 1,112,089, or 62,221 higher than the FY25. Again, this the variance shown here is incorrect. Should be 62,221, and the percentage should be 5.93%. Apologize for that. And also, these amounts do not include the proposed 2% cost of living allowance that is going to be included on the final draft. We can include the 2% COLA, which is going to total 15,394. So that amount, 15,394, is going to be reflected in the final version. Here we have the proposed capital improvement plan. The total funding sources include cash on hand of 2,281,615, shown on line number 2, and the proposed member assessments for FY 2026 of 362,815. Total funding sources, as shown on line number 4, 2,644,430. Line number 7 through 21, which continue on the following slide, show all the proposed CIP funding uses for capital projects totaling 2,590,430. And a notable project here in line number 20 includes the rehabilitation of 6 groundwater wells for 991,280. Line number 23 through 27, we have the total equipment request for 54,000. And the total funding uses is 2,644,430, which equals the funding sources. And finally, these are the CIP projects beyond FY 2026, which, as you can see, includes the optimization estimate of 61 million. For the total in this category is 64,843,221. And again, we plan to bring the final draft at the August meeting for approval. And the final draft will include any other changes. And this concludes my presentation. Any questions for me or SRWA?
Any questions? I have one about the scale inhibitors. I know we haven't bought any this year, and I see that we're reducing our usage. And just general purpose question, we're still doing all the necessary maintenance. We're not why are we reducing the amount of scale inhibitors we're using?
Yes, the vendor that supplies scale inhibitor did a test. They did not see our membrane, and they determined that we don't actually need to add as much scale inhibitor as we used to add. We were at like 4 parts per million, and we will reduce it to like half a part. And we're still getting, the performance of the membranes. So.
Okay, awesome, thank you. And I may have even asked that before. If so, I apologize. Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, well, section,
Good afternoon, Mr. President and members of the board. My name is Michael Esquivel. I'll be going over the well rehab update. Going over the pumping terms, gallons per minute, GPM, static level is the water level when pump is off. Pumping level is when the water level when pump is on. The drawdown level is the pumping level minus the static level, and specific capacity is the rate of well yield per unit of drawdown. These are pictures of the well number 1 screen photos before the rehab and after the rehab. As you can see, on the picture on the left, that there is a buildup on screen. And on the right, you could see more of the stainless steel shining. These are the numbers that we got on our pump test before the rehab, and we compared it to after the rehab. Before rehab, static level was 44.7, the pumping level was 118, discharge rate was 448 gallons per minute, so the drawdown was 73.3 feet, which had a specific capacity of 6.1. After the rehab, static level showed a 47.7. The pumping water level was 114 feet. Discharge rate was 448 gallons per minute with a drawdown of 66.3 feet. And the new specific capacity is now 6.9. So there was a 13% change for after the rehab. So that's a positive note. This was the last well that we did. All 3 wells are in service. Well 16, well 13, and well number 1. I'm monitoring them on a weekly basis. So give me a few months and I can come back and give an update with how these wells have been performing. That's all I have for this update. Any questions?
Have you done, and you probably can't, but have you tried individual well chemical testing, or?
We do testing once a year to see what constituents we have in the water. So we do have that on record for 2024. 2025 is still pending. I believe I get those in August. So, but if you want, I can provide 2024's info.
Well, it wouldn't hurt to compare the two against each other, just to make sure we didn't do something bad.
Yes, sir.
But these are great numbers, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
In terms of solids and metals,
Yeah, you know, you have accidentally blow into something else.
Drainage treatment sometimes.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board. My name is Jaime Flores. I'm the Water Resources Administrator, and I'll be giving you the drought update. So we actually had some increase, 22.9%, and majority of this is from rain. Last time we had saw an increase was went up to 22.5, and that was based on transfer of water from Mexico. So we were hoping to see maybe might even increase to maybe 23 or a little bit higher. But this is kind of the first good step we've seen pretty much all summer. Again, you can see our numbers of 22.2 back in June 7th, June 14th, 22.8, June 21st, 22.8. So there has been a slight trend upward. Here's the National Weather Service July to September 2025 outlook for the Lower Rio Grande Valley, Deep South Texas region. A hotter than normal average outlook is favored during the July to September 2025 timeframe. Confidence is beginning to lean towards a drier pattern outcome developing through August as the heat ridge is expected to establish itself over the desert southwest region. Now, September is normally our wettest month of the year, so we're hoping and praying for some rain. Falcon International Reservoir will remain near historic lows at the end of June. Confidence is near certain 100% on total storage remaining at or near record lows through September. Only rainfall production from the remains of a tropical cyclone can effectively address deficit. Again, water conservation is key until further notice. Stage 2 drought restrictions here in Brownsville continue to early spring 2025 and are likely to continue until further notice based on inflows from Amistad and Falcon. Any questions?
I think we're good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. I think that concludes the General Manager's report. Now we're going to move on to item number 3, consideration and possible approval of bid award B057-25 for the annual supply of chemicals for SRWA. Oh, look, he's got us something to meet.
President, members of the board, again, Jose Armando Garza. Invitation to bid was advertised in the Brownsville Herald on May 17 and May 24th, 2025. Emailed to 25 vendors with 18 vendors responding. The DPUB Purchasing Department opened bids for the annual supply of water treatment chemicals B057-25 on June 5th, 2025. And the following are the evaluated low bidders meeting specifications. For sodium hydroxide 25%, the low bidder was Chemtrade Chemicals at an extended price of $32,500. For sodium hydroxide 50%, again Chemtrade Chemicals for an extended price of $29,700. For ammonium sulfate, it was Penco Inc. at an extended price of $39,187.50. For the sodium bisulfite, it was Southern Ionics at an extended price of $29,750. For citric acid 50%, it was Univar Solutions at an extended price of $67,097.04. For sodium chloride, it was International Dioxide at an extended price of $65,430. Calcium chloride, Univar Solutions at an extended price of $462,000. For chlorine, it was PBS DX at an extended price of $230,112. These chemicals are used for the adjustment of pH, disinfection, dechlorination, membrane cleaning, and water stabilization. The chemical transfer periods are from September 1st, 2025 to August 31st, 2026. Recommended action. SRWA staff recommends bid award for the annual supply of chemicals to the low bidders, meeting specifications as follows. Chemtrade Chemicals US LLS in the amount of $62,200. Penco Inc. in the amount of $39,187.50. Southern Ionics Inc. in the amount of $29,750. Univar Solutions in the amount of $519.97.04. International Dioxide in the amount of $65,430. And PBS DX in the amount of $230,112. For a grand total amount of $945,776.54.
So just a request, for next year, when you do this table, can you also add how much we're ordering from each company? Small detail,
Sure.
just for complete transparency.
Yes.
Any questions by you?
How about a comparison from one year to the next, because we've got this coming year's totals, what year is it?
Could the increase, decrease, stay the same?
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah, the cost comparison, yeah, and a usage comparison, because as we've seen, we're dropping on some of these. So, okay.
This is an action item.
Did you guys see any problems with any of the bids? Do you have any concerns about any of the vendors?
No, everything looked good. We had a good participation. We went with the low bidders, and they're bidders that we know already. So they've been performing good.
So most of these companies have supplied us before?
Correct, yeah.
So, you have an action item you want to read, or did you already did?
Yes.
So, I don't know how
I
everybody else.
move to take, accept the recommendations of the bidding process.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next item, discussion on date and time of the next board meeting.
So at this time, the SRWA board meeting is tentatively scheduled for Monday, August 2nd, and the community board meeting will be on August the 11th, unless there's any changes or requests at this time. Are we okay with the dates?
I think that sounds good.
Yes?
Well, with that in mind, we've run through the items on our list, so
Move to adjourn.
I'll second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.